Good afternoon. We are Blue Moon Studio, and today we are going to be demonstrating how to make UV resin craft items using dried flowers in both bezels and molds. We hope you are able to craft along with us, or you can watch now and make your creations later. If this is your first class with us, or you have missed any of our earlier classes, they are all available on the Michaels website, where you can watch the videos of past projects, learn or brush up on the basics, along with our helpful and handy tricks, sorry about that, guys, and continue to perfect your UV resin craft skills. Blue Moon Studio's UV resin is specially formulated for the highest quality, clearest, non-yellowing UV resin. We offer a full suite of other necessary items, from curing lamps to exclusive molds and bezels, glitters and fillers, tools, and so much more to make your own unique jewelry pieces. Everything you need for today's project is available at Michaels stores nationwide, as well as on the Michaels website. I will be posting 2 helpful handouts in the chat so that you can see how to use your molds and bezels. And remember, you can always refer to the videos posted on the Michaels website anytime you want for a refresher. Stephanie Menor, Blue Moon's creative director and very talented UV resin crafter, will be your instructor and is so excited to share today's project with you. Rosa Vergaro, Blue Moon's own amazing maker, will be off camera, busy assisting Stephanie with what she needs so you can get the most out of today's class. And I am Anne-Marie Menlo, and I will be answering your questions via the chat function. I hope you can craft along with us today, but if not, enjoy the class and pick up your own UV resin craft materials at Michaels stores nationwide or online so you too can enjoy this jewelry making craft as much as we do. This class is being recorded and will be posted within a day or two to the Michaels website, so you can watch and refer to it. So without further ado, here's Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here to talk again about UV resin. So first, I'm going to do a little intro here. I'm going to talk about what is UV resin, how do you use it. Then we're going to switch cameras where we can get you really close on the action, and we're going to make some beautiful jewelry. So first, what is it? This is a liquid goo, a liquid plastic almost, and it comes in a little bottle like this, one single bottle. I'm going to bring the camera down just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Hi. Okay. So it's just a little plastic bottle, and then we have a silicone mat, and then I have a UV lamp. I'm going to hit the light here. You can see that light turn on. So like I said, this is like almost like a liquid plastic, and it just pours out of the bottle ready to use. There's no mixing, there's no measuring. If you've used 2-part resins before, you may be familiar with the many mixing and you have to measure it very perfectly. This is already ready to go. It pours out directly, ready to use. I have my UV light here, which I'm going to place on there. And this starts curing immediately. Within just a few minutes, it will turn from that liquid state into a hard plastic state. So this allows you to make jewelry in just a few minutes. You can be ready to wear it. This is most commonly used with a mold or a bezel. And the projects we're doing today are going to use both. But I want to show you now, this light has been on here for about, I don't know, less than 30 seconds. And already, if I turn this off, already you can see that that's no longer, I'm tapping on it. It is now a solid object. It is not completely cured though. This curing process takes between 2 and 4 minutes. And as a bonus, you can also cure in the sun. So this does not cure in the air. And I'm going to do just a little bit of a demonstration on that here. I have just a wood stick. I'm going to place some on here, and I have a glass of water. So I'm going to place it into the water, shine some light on it. And I'd like to do this demonstration to show people that this is not curing just in the air. So even in an airless environment like water, it will still harden and turn to hard plastic. So this brings up a few safety measures. So make sure your workspace is correct. You do not want to be working near a window where you would get natural sunlight because it will start to cure in your workspace. You do want to protect yourself with some gloves. If you have sensitive skin, if you have a sensitivity to other resin items, do wear gloves and make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area. So now that I've said all of the safety measures, let me just show you. What was goo a second ago is hardened plastic on there. And so just demonstrating that this cures only in UV light, not just in the regular air. All right, we're just about ready to show you how to make some jewelry. Let's switch cameras and I'll be right back. All right, hi guys, can you hear me over here?
We can, Steph.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. So these are some of the pieces that we're going to be making today, and they are all using dried flowers. Dried flower jewelry is so popular and trendy right now, and this is how you can make these things at home. So we have two pieces. These were made with molds, and then we have two pieces here that were made with bezels. This is a bezel. It's just like a jewelry frame, and we filled it up with resin. And these were made with silicone molds. So I'm gonna talk about molds first. Let me zoom you up a little bit here and show you. This is the type of silicone mold available at Michael's. You can see our logo is there at the bottom. And this, see how clear it is? You can see the jewelry right through it. This is the type of mold that you want to use with UV resin. I'll even show you the bottom of it. You can kind of see the dimensional shapes that you can get. So this particular earring was made from this mold piece there. So you can see it comes right out of there. And just to talk briefly about molds, you always want to make sure you're using a clear mold. There are other silicone molds out there. I'll show you one. Something like this. No, do not do it. This will not work with UV resin. An opaque mold will not work. So you do want to use a nice clear mold. Okay, so let's just get started. We're going to jump right into making this earring first. So let me move these off camera. And so I have my mold. I also have a silicone mat. I like to work kind of on the mat. That silicone mats or any silicone material, the resin won't stick to it. So that's why we like to use those. So I'm going to bring one of the earrings here so we can kind of see that. And I might bring you even in closer. All right, so here I have a bottle of resin. And again, this just goes in directly from the bottle. Oops, I have a little piece of hair on my mold. I don't know if you saw that, but it pours directly out of the bottle into the mold. So you can see how easy that pour was. No bubbles. Bubbles is a real problem for some other types of resin, but you can see that there are absolutely no bubbles in this. Also, it's quite thick. Oh, my stick here is a little messy, but it shows that we've been using it a lot. You can see that it's quite thick, and I'm just kind of moving it around to where I want it to go. I want to take special care up here at the top because this little silicone peg here is going to create the hole at the top that we need to connect that to other things. All right, so that's really all there is to it. I did not fill it all the way to the top. I might put just a touch more in there. Okay, and now we are ready to go with flowers. So being that this class is all about dried flowers, I wanted to show you how many beautiful dried flowers we have at Michael's for this. So this is an example of one of our flower mixes. So you can see this is the blue mix. You get some different blue flowers. There's like a daisy. I'm not sure the technical name for these, but there's like a lace flower there and some greenery. Okay, and then these come in lots of different colors. Here's the pink version. So you have all of the different pieces that you need that work in harmony together in this one purchase from Michaels. So in this one, we are going to be using these lace flowers. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but they're tiny, tiny little flowers. And we're going to be using these yellow flowers. Okay, I saw a question from Diana. Thank you for your question, Diana. I encourage all of you to use the chat function. I try to catch the questions as they go. Sometimes they get going a little too fast for me, but I encourage you to use that. And her question was about bubbles. How do you get the bubbles out? Bubbles are not really an issue with UV resin. I poured that, you saw me pour it directly from the bottle, and there weren't any bubbles. If there are, they tend to be like larger air bubbles, and you can just take your pointy side of the stick and just kind of poke the bubble and it will go away. If it's too small to poke it, what you can do is use this side of your wood stick, and I just kind of like scoop it out a little bit and wipe it off on a paper towel. And that's how I deal with bubbles. So I'm moving you around here a little bit. I'm trying to keep it centered. There we go. All right, so here are these little lace flowers that we're working with. So the easiest way to do it is, now first you want to be very delicate. These are dried flowers. They're very brittle. So here I have the tweezers, and you can see in the piece that we're making that those flowers, I'm going to come in here with a little pair of scissors and just kind of cut off. So I'm getting more of like a little, I don't want to use this whole thing together. So I'm cutting around kind of the center of the flower. And cutting all the way around that and just letting them fall onto my mat like little beautiful natural confetti. So you can see these flowers are ready to go. I'm actually going to start with those flowers. Move those over a little bit. The easiest way to get the flowers in there is to take one side of your stick and get a tiny little bit of resin on it, and then just start picking them up and placing them exactly where you want them to go. You don't have to worry about this starting to harden as long as you're not by an open window where the sunlight's streaming through. You should be fine. And so I can take my time and place these exactly where I want them to go. You do want to keep in mind where is the front of this. And the front of any mold is actually the bottom. So this side under here is the front. This side that we're looking at is actually the back. So when I'm using flowers that have a clear front and back, that becomes very important. So I'm just kind of dotting these in there and using up all of them. And I can fill it up as much or as little as I want. Okay. All right, and now we are ready for those yellow flowers. So here, I'm going to also kind of dump those out here. Here are my yellow flowers. And I am going to just kind of look at the flowers and see if I can discern what is a prettier front to any of these. They look kind of the same on the front and the back, so I think I'm good to go. So again, just dipping into the resin, picking up a flower, and just placing it. Now here's where you want to be careful of air bubbles. So as you're placing this flat object into the resin, you could be trapping air bubbles underneath it. So you just want to go slow, kind of putting it in at an angle. I'm gonna put this little guy up here. And again, very gentle with these. I can see as I pushed it in, as I pushed it in with the wood stick, it kind of broke the flower a little bit, but that's okay because we are about to harden this whole thing together. Oops, I don't want that one. I want this one. So placing him down in there, a couple more. And let's just do one more. You can see how thick this is. And you do want to make sure that it's completely covered in the resin. So once I get things where I want, now I'm just kind of playing. And I might even just put a few little dabs more resin on top of these. It is self-leveling, so when I'm placing a dot of resin like that, it should kind of level out on its own. I also just pay attention to the edges here, make sure there's no puckers. But I think this is ready to go. And so let me bring my light in. So here's the light. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so here's our light. I'm going to show you the bottom of the light and turn it on. So that's what it is. This is an LED UV lamp, and it is powered by a USB. So the USB goes into like your phone charger or a laptop or any type of little charging station that you have that has a USB input. All right, so I've turned that on. Each hit of the button is 1 minute. So this runs on a timer for 1 minute. I'm probably going to cure this for 2 to 3 minutes. And I would do even more than that for items that are really dark or have a lot of glitter, because you just have to keep in mind that this is curing from the light being able to hit it. If the light is blocked in any way, either from glitter or from a dark tint or from an opaque mold, then it's not going to cure right for you. All right, so we're gonna let that go. And so that ran for 1 minute, the light automatically turned off. So I'm gonna turn it on again, and I'm gonna kind of move it back here a little bit so that I can clean up and we can get started on the next. All right, so what I've shown you so far is the basic use of a mold. Now I'm going to show you the basic use of a bezel. So a bezel, again, is something like this. It's a little frame that the jewelry goes in. And I'm going to show you the basics of how to use a bezel. So here's our bezel, and here's what they look like when you find them in stores. These are circle bezels that come in 2 sizes. And we have lots of different shapes available, not just circles and basic shapes. There are stars and moons and all kinds of fun stuff. Rose, I see your question there. Her question was, where do we purchase the lamp, or will any LED lamp do? Our lamp is sold at Michael's, so it looks like this. Let me show you what the lamp looks like, so you see it in stores. This is our lamp. This is a 9-watt LED lamp, and there are plenty of other UV lamps out there. In our testing, we found that this lower wattage works really well with our product, so that's what we would recommend. So it is sold at Michael's. All right, so how to use a bezel. So you start by taping off the back of it. So here's our tape. This is also sold in this section at Michael's. And this is a special polyester tape. And I'm just going to cut a little piece of it. And so I have the sticky side up. You can see it sticking to my finger. And I'm going to place the bezel on it and then just place it down. And I'm like going to press it down because I want to make sure that this tape is stuck to the bottom of that. Hi, Natasha. I see you have your hand up. Not many people use that function, so I'm not sure how to address you, but maybe Anne-Marie can help you out. I don't want to leave you there hanging. Okay, so all we've done is put the tape on the back of that bezel. And then what we're going to do is put a thin layer of resin. And I'm putting, oh gosh, this is about a third of the way up. And oh, let's zoom in because there is a bubble. Dun, dun, dun. There's a bubble. Do you see it right in the middle? So that bubble is really small. I could try to pop it, but I might be at it all day. And so the easier way to deal with it is to scoop it out. Come here, little bubble guy. Scoop. Oh, I think I got him. I got him. All right, so I scooped that out. Marty has a question on the tape. This is a special polyester tape. It's a lower tack tape, and it's specific to resin jewelry making. So it is sold in this section at Michael's. All right, so all I did was I went in there with my wood stick and just made sure that the resin got around to all the edges. And now I'm going to pre-cure this. So these prep steps that I'm doing for bezels, these are the same prep steps that you will do for any bezels that you use. Sorry, I'm trying to get this camera right. Okay. So the same steps of adding the tape and adding the resin and pre-curing it, you want to do that for any bezel, no matter if you're making a charm, a necklace, a pair of earrings, you prep it in the same way. And that I'm just going to let go for 1 minute. Here's the piece that we're trying to make here. Very simple because Michael sells these. You do not need to go look in your yard and find a 4-leaf clover because these are sold directly in the program. And we do have St. Patrick's Day coming up, so this is just perfect. So I have some of those. And I'm actually going to choose the smallest one here. These are natural items, so they do vary in size a little slightly. Let me get him out. Here. Here we go. So this is what we're going to use. So that went for 1 minute. Let me move the lamp. And I'm also going to cut the stem of this off. There we go. And now I'm going to put just the tiniest little dab of resin on here. And that's more to hold this in place. And actually it will help to have a little dab over here. I'll show you why. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of a dab and then use that to hold that in place. Okay. All right, so once that's down, I just fill the top with more resin. You can see how it kind of levels itself. I hope you could see that on camera. And now this is ready for our final cure. So bring my lamp in and cure that. Okay, so while that's curing, I want to take a question from the group. Cindy, I see your question. What is the best way to store dried flowers? Actually, the best way to store the dried flowers are in the packaging that it comes in. So this is the package that you'll see in stores. And you probably can't see it very well on camera, but there is a special desiccant inside there, which takes out any of the extra moisture. And so this little plastic bit is reusable, and that's actually how we store ours here. You can see we take the rest of the packaging away. We keep the plastic part, we keep the lid for the plastic part, and that's how we store them. All right, so this is going. And so let me move that out and let's come back to our first piece. So this was under the light for 2 minutes, I believe. And you can see how easy it is to demold this. This is a very flexible mold. So you really just kind of push it up with your finger and that's what you get. All right, so now the final step to turn this into jewelry, I didn't put quite as many of the mint colored flowers as our original, but the design is totally up to you. Okay, so to turn this into jewelry, we need to add a couple things here. So we have 1 jump ring, 2 jump rings, and an earring hook. Okay, so here are those pieces. Also sold at Michael's. They have everything you need for this. So to use these jump rings, this is a basic building block of jewelry. You need to know how to open and close it. So each jump ring has a break at the top. So I want to situate my pliers or my fingers. I use my fingers for one of the pliers on either side of that break. And then you twist one toward you and twist one away from you. And that's how you open the jump ring. Now that it's open, I can easily feed that through the hole that's already in my resin piece. And then I'm going to put another jump ring on it and close it. You close the jump ring in the same and the opposite motion that you did to open it. Sorry, I'm gonna have to use 2 pliers. My fingers are not cooperating. Let me get in there with 2 pliers and close this. And there you go. So here's what I'm left with. And now I just need to attach my ear wire by opening the second jump ring and sliding that on there. So I opened that up. So why 2 jump rings? Can anyone guess? If I didn't have 2 jump rings on this, so when this is on your ear, your head would be like this, and this would be going through your ear like that. If I didn't have 2 jump rings, instead of it sitting parallel to your jaw, let's say, it would sit this way. So that's why there's 2 jump rings instead of 1. And there you go. That's our first finished project. You can see how that came together in just minutes. All right, next we have our little shamrock. And so this is hardened. This was under there for 2 minutes. And you just peel it right off of the tape. And something happened here. Uh-oh, I will show you what happened. So I obviously did not stick that tape down well enough. And sometimes this can happen where a little resin just scooches out of there. But it's not a deal breaker. We can easily fix these things. And I'm going to show you how. So if this happens, you want to get in there with some wire cutters. These are little like nippers, and just snip that off as close as you can get it. And so I got most of it. There's still a little edge here. I can go in with a nail file and kind of just clean up that edge. And you'll never know it happened. It's a clear material, so that's the good part. All right, so there's our shamrock. We would feed that onto a necklace. You can see here, these necklaces are already pre-made at Michael's, like this. And so the necklace just slides right through the loop. And that's how you make a little. Santa has a question here. How can you make with a real flower? So all the flowers that we're using are real flowers. They're just dried. You do not want to use a non-dried fresh flower. I have not experienced this myself, but flowers, real flowers encased in resin can rot over time and turn brown and gooey and nasty. So you want to make sure that anything you're putting down into the resin doesn't have a high moisture content, like a real fresh flower. Okay, so next piece we're making, we're just scooting along here because I want to get as many pieces in here as possible in this hour that we have together. So here is the next piece that we're making. I'll show you the sides and the back. It's like a little daggery thing. When you buy this in stores, you get the mold. This is what the mold looks like. It has a little nice handle for you to hold on to it. But you also get these metal pieces. And these metal pieces, I'm going to show you this. This is what it looks like in stores. So this is the mold we're working with. And then it automatically comes with the special, these are special pieces that you need. They've been manufactured specifically to work with what comes out of this mold. So let me show you how to do this. So we're going to take the mold. The resin goes directly into the mold. If you don't want clear resin to go in your mold, you could do glittered resin or tinted resin. And for that, you would just need to kind of pre-mix it in like a little mixing cup like this. Pre-mix it and then dump it in. But for this project, we're using just clear resin. All right, so I filled that up maybe about a quarter of the way. Actually, I'm just going to go for and fill this mostly up to the top. All right, so it's mostly up to the top. I left a tiny little bit of room for like wiggle room. And the flowers that we're going to use here are these turquoise flowers here, and also some purple flowers. Now the purple flowers, we have several different colors here. I'm going to choose this brighter purple. These are dimensional flowers. You can see all the rest of the flowers we've used so far are flat. But I wanted to show you at least a couple projects that use these dimensional ones. This is like a dried baby's breath, I think. Here we go. All right, so I'm just picking out some. And they've got these little like puffs on the end. So I'm going to try to isolate those puffs and just kind of clip those off here. And so now would be a good time as I'm doing this, Anne-Marie, if we had any questions from the group.
We actually have a question. It was a little ways back, and I'm having some technical difficulties here today. Sorry about that. It's from Megan. She got a kit that has some powder pigments and they're opaque. Would that cure okay if she mixes it in?
Yes. So there are a lot of ways to colorize resin and tint resin. Powders, pigment powders are one of them. I haven't found a pigment powder that doesn't work with UV resin. So any type of mica powders work. You see like pearlized powders. Those are generally mica powders. All work fine. The only thing that does not work well to tint UV resin is alcohol ink. But we do sell tints, by the way, in the program. Let me show you these tints. So like this is a primary set of tints sold in stores. The tints can be mixed together, so you can get purples, greens, oranges from this one set. This is what really works best with UV resin, but there are plenty of other ways to tint it. So I'm still just cutting these little flower heads off.
How about food coloring?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Food coloring.
You know what? I have not tried food coloring. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I have not personally tried it, so I don't want to tell you one way or the other. But I think that especially if it's used in a very small amount, I don't see why it wouldn't work. Okay, so I've got my flowers here. I'm gonna place these first and then place the turquoise ones in there. So let me just get a little liquid on the back of this and just, there's not really a rhyme or reason to this part. You're just putting them in there. Emma, question, can you add glitter? She had that question in our chat. You can absolutely add glitter. And if you would have attended any of our other classes, we use glitter in almost every single project. I tried to stay away from glitter this time to focus on just the natural beauty of these flowers, but absolutely glitter, any kind of glitter is wonderful inside resin. I'll show you some glitter pieces that we made at the end of the class if you stick around, Emma. All right, so I'm placing them in there and I'm trying to move them so that they're evenly placed. So like, I want to move them down in here into the bottom. And you can see I'm not being precious with this. I'm trying to get them in there. And, you know, it's really a foolproof thing, because no matter what you do, these flowers are going to just look beautiful. Okay, so I got those in. I always keep a paper towel here to the side, and that's what I use to wipe off my stick. All right, turquoise flowers. We're just going to start placing these, and we're making a 3D object, so we don't want every flower facing the front. Maybe we want some more tucked into the sides, but I'm using quite a bit of these flowers. Just kind of putting them in there, tucking them in different areas. You can see in our piece here, we've put quite a few flowers in there. Also keep in mind, the front is here at the bottom. So from time to time, I'm going to take this off camera and look at it from the bottom, because that's really the view that's going to be the main view. And I can see that I don't have enough turquoise there at the bottom yet. So I'm just going to keep going. And because you have all the time in the world to play here, you do not need to rush. You can just place each flower exactly where you want it to go. I'm going to pick this up again. All right, I think maybe just one more flower in this area. Let me pick this up, see what I'm working with. All right, and I think just for Emma, we're gonna put a tiny little bit of glitter in here. Why not? I just wanna show you how fun this is to play. So I have some blue glitter. All right, I'm just gonna mix it around. It's not gonna be perfect. We don't want it to be perfect. It's a work of art. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna put a little more resin in here to fill this to the top. And we are ready to cure this. So for this piece, because it's 3D, I'm gonna let this go for many minutes. I'll probably let that go through for 4 cycles while I work on my last piece here. So with this piece, this is just flowers. In fact, these are the same purple flowers that we used in this piece. But the difference is that it has this darkly colored background, and so it really makes those flowers pop. I am going to show you how that's done. So first, we're going to start with our bezel. Here's our bezel. We have our tape. I'll show you this process again. Just cut a little bit of tape. The tape, after you use it, it actually is reusable too. And then place that down. Now this time, I'm really going to make sure that is stuck. Okay, so that's there. A little bit of resin, just enough to be less than maybe 1/3 of the way full. Oh, that has glitter on it. Moving that to the side so that it touches all the sides of this gold piece. Okay, and this is ready for pre-cure. So I'm going to put it under there with my dagger shape. Okay, this is a great time for us to take a question. Who has a question for us?
Let's see what we have. I've been keeping up pretty well. Question about sealing. Like if you put a photo in and so on, do you need to seal paper before you?
Okay, that's a great question. And it's a question that we get pretty often. I'm going to show you. So you can absolutely print pictures and put them into the resin. This is an example of a picture where we did that. This one, we did not seal at all. We printed this on our office printer, which is a big, I don't know what kind of printer it's called, but it's a big office printer, and did no prepping to the paper at all. And this is what we get. You can see it does become a little transparent. My timer just went off, so I'm going to hit that again. It becomes a little transparent, but you don't really lose the detail. This one right next to it, we prepped that photo with Mod Podge. So you can see a difference. Like, look at the red of her jacket. You can see it's more vibrant over here. But it's not a huge difference. So yes, you can prep it with Mod Podge, but for me, I'm lazy and I need instant gratification. So for this bit of a difference, I would just cut the paper out and put it down in resin. Okay, so this one, we're gonna keep going. This one, actually, I'm gonna move this far out of frame because I do not want this UV light to touch what I'm doing here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is the dark layer, because opposite of working with molds, the bottom part of the mold is the front, but when you're working with bezels, what's facing you is the front. So our dark color needs to go behind the flower. So I'm going to show you how to use a little bit of tint here. So this is our black tint, and I'm going to put 2 drops, 1, 2, and just mix that up. With 2 drops of black, we're going to get this kind of like a dark gray color. You don't want to overload the color, because if it's completely opaque, you're going to have drying problems. But I think I'm going to put 1 more drop in there. All right, just stirring that up. So it's at this point that you would add whatever glitters that you want. Just dump them right in here. Okay, so then I just pour that. So this is our second layer of resin, which is a tinted layer. This will be behind our flowers, and it will really make the color of the flower stand out. All right, and I'm going to go a little bit off script here with the flowers that I choose for this, because we already used those purple flowers. I want to show you some other flowers that we have. Okay, so I want to go pink. So I'm going to do this. Do we have one of these? I can open it up. Thank you. I have my lovely assistant Rosa over here. It would not be possible without her. And I know we're going to get a question on how to clean this up, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll just put that aside for now. All right, so here we have some pink flowers. And again, just wetting my tool here. I'm going to pick up this lace flower first. Kind of sink that down. And then I want to do, I'll do one of these. I love the look of multiple different colored flowers together. Let's also take a little bit of greenery. So here's our greenery. Put that in there. Do we have one more? Oh, I can use this. Here we go. I'm going to take this flower. So you can see layering flowers, especially brightly colored flowers like this, how pretty this is. And the fact that it's on a black, I love the look of it on clear, but the fact that it's on a black background just is beautiful. All right, so we're ready here. We're going to put a layer of clear on the top. And I want to make sure that they're covered completely. And now this is ready for cure. All right, so let me bring my lamp back in. Now we have two pieces that are curing together. Okay, so while those are curing, we have about 15 minutes left. If you have any questions, get them into the chat now so we can address them. And I will put out a call for you to post your creations. So we love to see what you make. And just make sure that you hashtag it with our brand, hashtag UV Resin Crafts. You can also use the hashtag Make It With Michaels. And you can connect with me personally on Instagram. There's my handle there at Stephanie Menor Creates. I'd love to hear from you. All right, so while this is curing, we're going to do a little bit of show and tell here because I have to the side so many beautiful pieces. So let's talk about hoop earrings. Everybody wants hoop earrings right now. They're like the coolest. They're the coolest. Here we go. Here's a hoop that's made with flowers. Here's a hoop that's made with some tint and some glitter. We've got hoops that are got gold flakes. I saw a question came up about gold flakes. Absolutely, you can put those in resin. Look how pretty. This is like an ombre where part of it's clear and then you get like more and more saturated with the flakes. Let's talk about bangles. Here's a bangle. These are all made with molds. Here's the bangle mold. Here's the bangle that came out of it, filled with all different kinds of flowers. Here is a bezel piece where we put one simple flower and then just did 3 little pearls on top. And look how elegant and pretty that is. Here's a teardrop where we use mostly greenery with some flowers at the bottom. Thank you for your question, Lexi. Can you use beads? Here is a bangle that we made. We just sprinkled some seed beads in there. How easy is that? Who wants to string each one of these little beads hand by hand? Let's just dump them in and make something beautiful. I'm going to show you some longer pendants that we have, also made with flowers. Here's a couple other pieces that were done using a darker background. Here's one that was done using a glitter background. Okay, bunch of different, I'm just going to bring these all over here. Look how pretty this one is with the pastels. Okay, move these off to the side and show you. Here we took one single flower, cut it in half. Ooh, hello, here we go. Cut it in half and just put it in resin. Is this amazing? For just from one flower? You would see this in a boutique for a lot of money. So if you can make these yourself, they make perfect gifts and they work wonderfully for resale too. For Lexi, here's another earring. This is we made with seed beads. This was for a Christmas class. But you can see we just did little bands of seed beads. Okay, this has been under there for a while. I think it's gone for maybe 4 cycles or so. And let's pop it out. So these 3D molds are just a little bit harder to get out, but really comes out pretty easily. See how clean the mold is? And here's the piece. I'll put it on white so you can see it better. But I love the way this looks. So my glitter just kind of went in this little area here, but I love the way that that just sparkles instead of being diffused through the whole piece. Okay, so what do we do next? So as I mentioned, in this package, you get these special findings. They fit onto the top just like a glove, okay? So how do you do that? Well, you use the UV resin just as an adhesive. So we're gonna put some, actually, it's probably easier if we put it on here. So I'm just kind of freehanding that on there, placing this, and it just works wonderfully as a clear adhesive with the light. So I'm just holding it together with my hands until it grabs. It'll grab in about 10 seconds or so. I can still feel it wobbling a little bit. And I'm moving it around slightly because I'm trying to make sure that that light hits underneath the metal too, like from the side here and from this side. And because it's clear, you don't have to be very precise. You saw how I slapped that resin on there. It will look beautifully. Okay, so I would let that go for just a minute or two, and then we have a beautiful pendant. Again, the necklaces are sold at Michael's, already pre-made. So you're going to get a necklace chain that's 18 or 24 inches that already has that lobster clasp on it. So you just feed that directly through the top loop, and you have a finished, beautiful custom pendant. Love this one. All right, we've got just about 8 minutes left. So please yell and shout if we have not answered your questions. How do you make a hole for the finding is a question that just came through. So in our first earring that we made, we didn't need to make a hole because it already had a hole in it. So this was the mold that it came out of. See this little dingly dangle thing? I don't know the technical term for it, but it is a little silicone peg that creates a hole in your piece. So you can see that the different shapes in here, some of them have holes and some of them don't. So this is a rose. It does not have a hole in it, but this heart does. This butterfly does. And I'll show you some other molds here. This is like a basic shape mold. So you can see almost every shape has the little dongle, and that is what creates the hole. Now, if you do not have a hole where you want a hole, you can absolutely use a drill. So this little hand drill also sold in the same section at Michael's. Here it is packaged. And I don't want to destroy this, but let me take the one that I made that isn't as pretty. So you just place the drill and just twist it with your hand, and it will just place that hole. In jewelry making, hole placement is very important. You know, for example, if I wanted to dangle tassels or something off of this, I would need to have holes there. So, and that's how you create them. This drill is just called a hand drill. So if you go to michaels.com, you'll find it there. All right, so this piece, finally we have this piece, and I made a little boo-boo with this piece too. Do you see that bubble? Now that's a bad bubble. You can see it on the back too. And where that bubble happened is me placing these flowers and trapping some air under there that I did not see before it cured. So this one didn't turn out so great, but let's take the tape off anyway. And that's what it looks like. Not my best work. Okay. All right, so in the few minutes we have left, I want to show you some non-flower pieces, just so you can see what can be made with this. Here's another bead piece where we just took some letter beads and put them in a bangle mold. What else do we have here? Here we just took some candy sprinkles and used that. Here's our beaded one, and here's our candy sprinkles, just from the grocery store. Here's a bangle where we filled it up with glitter and flakes and all kinds of fun stuff. Let's see. Oh, I have to show this one because it's so cute. This little lollipop earring we made in our Valentine's Day class, and used a toothpick at the bottom here and just a little piece of ribbon to make, and we used our candy sprinkles in there again. Okay, question from Rebecca. How do you clean the bowl? So I have a little bit of residue in the bowl. I could take a paper towel and just wipe that out, but that's not fun. The more fun way is to just cure that resin in there, and then it just pops out so easily. Thank you, Paula. Let's see, what else do I have to show you over here? Oh. Let's see, here's another piece where we used an image inside of a bezel. Okay, you can see how easy that is. This one is crooked, but we used a sticker inside the bezel. These are just stickers that you get at Michael's. Here's like an example. Any stickers can be sunk down inside that resin too. So you've got a lot of design possibilities. Oh, this one I have to show you. This one is so pretty. This one's prettier. So here we used our butterfly bezel in the same ways that I showed you, and just put pink color on the back. You can see the back of it is pink. And on the front, you can just create the butterfly design out of different colored dried flowers. I love this one. All right, so that was under there for a minute. And so you can just pop this out so you can see how that's cured. Easy cleanup. If there's any left, you can just kind of scoop it. If you've used glitter in this, glitter, you know, sticks to everything. The easiest way is to take some tape, like you're getting lint off of your clothes, and get that off. But that's how you clean up. Okay, so I will end with our call for all of your creative pieces. When you post them online, please use our hashtag UV Resin Craft. It's the top of every package. I personally check that hashtag. I love to see what you guys make. It just completely makes my day. And that's all we have for you today. We do these classes every 2 weeks. So check the Michael's website, come back. We're going to show you something different every week. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.